Dear guests, welcome to the Thule Group Capital Markets Day 2022. We are here live in Hillerstorp, Sweden. It's been a long time waiting, but we really wanted to show you the fantastic roof rack manufacturing site and the world-leading Thule test center and the development center that we've constructed over the last few years. You're welcome to where it was all founded 80 years ago. Join me inside as we soon will start. Very welcome. It's great to have you here. And as I said in that little movie clip, it is extra nice to have all of you that have taken the time out to come and visit us here in Hillerstorp. Products is what we do best, and we've had 80 years of product-driven growth. And when you have that, it's of course always important to remember that history and what you've been doing and what has made you a special company. Another thing that I think is key in all of that is delivering results. I know you guys are clearly liking Thule for all the cool stuff we offer, because I see you out there when we have a product expo. But I know it's also very easy to say you wouldn't like us if we didn't deliver great results. So growing sales is a way to survive as a company. If you don't grow sales, you will struggle to survive. So growing sales is something we've done for a very long time. Since we became stock exchange listed, we in fact had a CAGR of 11%. But we clearly admit that we have been boosted during the pandemic. We've been helped by the staycation trends, and you can see that on our numbers, that our growth rate has been higher the last 2 years. So a lot of the analysts, and I'm sure a lot of the investors, will be asking the question of the long-term sustainable growth. We are very confident in our long-term sustainable growth, and that's what we will be talking most of this meeting about. Then we clearly also have a point of that growth making money. It is very easy to talk about growth, but profitable growth is what makes companies great. So we have shown that that growth that we generated of an 11% CAGR has been generating an EBIT growth of 19% CAGR since the stock listing. And if the ones, and we have quite a few investors that have been with us since we became listed, you remember that we first presented that we would have an EBIT margin of above 15%. We reached that 2015. We then set a new target to reach 17%, which we did 2017. We then in 2017 raised the target to 20%, which we hit 2020. When you now look at it, I have a lot of expectations that people said, then you must have an EBIT margin target of 30% by 2030. So I will disappoint you early on in the meeting. That's not the case. We will, though, keep our EBIT margin target of above 20% with very strong growth, as we will come back to. So we are at a high profit level, and we will continue to deliver great profits. Over the last year, in 2021, and in this year and in next year, we're dialing up the CapEx spend, which historically has been around 2.5%. We're going to be around 5% these 3 years, and the logic is simply twofold, or actually even 3, because some of you already looked through the press release and know that we're launching new products that we will manufacture in our own in-house facilities, but I'll come back to that. But the first 2 is actually for the existing categories. Number 1 is that during the last few years, our sales growth was above and beyond what we planned for. We have therefore anticipated some of those CapExes needed to cost efficiently mass manufacture those products. We were able to meet a lot of the demand during the pandemic, but it wasn't in a way that you ideally would want to run factories. It was 3 shifts, it was nighttime, you had to have trucks coming in. Those things are actually not the most cost efficient when you work with manpower and assembly and a lot of products. They work well when you have a processing plant that you want to run all the time, but in our type of business, it's actually smarter if you can to work on a more logical shift level throughout the weeks. So one reason is to be able to have the capacity that we needed already. The second one is we are automating more. And strangely enough, people don't realize that always, but automation takes a lot more space because you need to have automated guided vehicles that are not obstructed by things. So you create space to enable to invest in robotic assembly. Then the robotic assembly as an initial investment is higher, but you do get a lower running cost over time. So we are, for the current business, doing both those two things, expanding capacity for the current volumes and the future growth, and increasing our automation levels. Those are driving up. Time to finally talk about the new categories then, and for the rest of you as well, by the way. So I think it's always good to visualize it. So let's look at our next new product category.
We can follow the river wherever it takes us, moving on to see what's there to find. We could be like the river, calm on troubled waters, and we'll leave it all behind. Wherever it takes us, moving there to find. Oh, we can be like the river, leave it all behind.
So welcome all dog owners to the world of Thule. What we're doing is simply, and it was a very timed question I got outside. I wish you had something. Yes, we are entering the world of dog. And it's not only because my older sister, who's a veterinarian and a kennel owner, has been on my neck for the last 15 years about it, or that loads and loads of employees have been saying, we're so good at that, and there are not so many good products out there, why don't we do it? It is because we clearly see a very good market opportunity. There are 2 main reasons for this. One is, and we can quick show of hands how many dog owners in the group here. Good to see, because you will understand me, the rest of you might not. If you look at it, the dog owners are seeing the dog more and more as a family member. When you see somebody more and more as a family member, what you're going to do is you will be prepared to spend for quality. If it's quality pet food or if it's quality products, and you're going to be wanting to bring them along and do things with them. That is an ideal combination for us. If you then look at what the other trend is, the pandemic also didn't just make people do a lot more staycations. The dog industry has seen a boom. Some of you maybe bought a dog during the pandemic, and then you paid twice as much for your Labradoodle as you would have done before. But generally, you can say the dog ownership is actually very high. Sweden is one of the lowest, 16% of households. There are countries where 40–50% of the households own at least one dog. So there is a sizable market out there. The type of products that we do are already being seen around the door. These are just 4 images from Instagram where somebody hashtagged Thule, and it happened to be with their family and dogs doing things. So what we're wanting to do clearly is to enter into a category. We will do that entering into a category in 2 types: car transport of your dog and bike transport of your dogs. We've already entered in a very sneaky way because we just launched our Thule Courier bike trailer a month ago. The Thule Courier bike trailer actually already has a dog trailer kit to it. It is a children's bike trailer, but that children's bike trailer you can also transform into a cargo bike trailer, and with buying an extra kit, you can transform it into a dog trailer. But it is car and bike. We know both. We know a lot about car transport. We know a lot about dog transport, bike transport as well. If you look at car transport, there are many modes of transporting your dog. The most common one, the dog is just walking around. Let's clear, that's the fact today still. The dog is doing everything wherever it wants to be or just sitting on the seat. But what has been growing very fast as the dogs became more and more family members, and as various laws and regulations are quickly stepping up around the world, is there is an expectation of safety, not only for the dog, but for the rest of the passengers as well. So what is happening? It could be how you transport in the back of an SUV or a hatchback or a station wagon or on a pickup truck or in the back seat with a harness or many other solutions. And we will be a full service provider in this category. The category is today dominated by small niche players. They do a great job. So it's the same as in sport and cargo carriers. Just because they're small local niche players, we will not underestimate them. They've done a great job in establishing themselves. But there is no strong global brand. We are convinced with our design skill, our competence, and our manufacturing capabilities, because we will be manufacturing these products in our facility in Poland, that we will be able to become very quickly a very significant player in this industry. So yes, you were all right in your guesses, because that must have been one of the least surprising new category entries. We are getting into the car seat category. And there is a lot of logic for that, as clearly is the case, because we know lots about car safety, and we nowadays know lots about children, and that combination is what we will attack then now. It is an extremely safety-focused, very technical category with very high demands. That sounds scary, but that's actually what we love. So we like those aspects of it. There are many usage modes, and no, you're not supposed to be able to read every little font on there, but what the logic is, if you take an infant seat, it is used in your home when the kid is there. It's used on your stroller, especially in North America, where a lot of people do not buy bassinets at all. They go with the car seat and click it into the stroller only. So it's used in that strolling mode, and of course in the car to be safe. So there is a lot of modes to consider and a lot of safety aspects And therefore, you have to be extremely stringent. This is children's lives. I mean, we all go, when the music goes up there, you go like, oh, it's a knot in your stomach, right? So if you look at it, we have to be very, very conscious about the various regulations around the world and the various consumer expectations of this. You can say that the regulations are extremely different, actually. In Europe, it's defined by what is called the I-size RN29 rules, which are very modern, very stringent. And then in North America, a little bit more old-style security standards in there. So we will be going about this on a region-by-region perspective, with a global mindset that the product portfolio must meet up to the requirements and the desires of the parents in different ways. There are some common key points, though, truly crucial in this. A product proposition in car seats for children has to be foolproof. So it has to be tested endlessly, it has to be followed up, and it needs to be truly foolproof. But it also needs to be reassuring for the parent that it is going to work. It is scary to look at how many cases of people not having put their car seat in correctly, and how worried you are that you haven't. So this constant tactile, visual, audible confirmation that you've done the right thing, it is safe, is a very key thing. But do not underestimate that it needs to be desirable. If it looks too clunky, too technical, too safe, it is a little bit like a company where I happen to be the chairman, where we could discuss helmet design. The best helmet is a huge thing, but nobody would wear it. You need to be also having something desirable that people actually want to use. You need to combine all those things. That's the type of categories we love. So we're very excited to get into this category. As I said, we're going to enter it in steps. We're entering Europe first, and we're entering Europe next autumn. In next autumn, we will come with a common base where an infant seat and a toddler seat can be applied on the same common base. We will then, the year after, come into North America, where due to the regulations and expectations of children's sizes, etc., we will come with a base and an infant seat, and another base and a toddler seat for the North American market. And also next 2024 autumn, we will then have a booster seat for both regions as well when the child gets bigger. We are then consistently evaluating entry into other geographical regions with other regulations, and those will be fully defined and coming in the future, but we have a very strong portfolio coming then in 23 and 24. If you look at the market and differences, and this is more for the printed later on, you don't need to look at everything that is written there. There's a lot of expectation that the car seat market is somewhere around 85 to 95 billion SEK, if you ask most people. Very difficult to define as well. Why are we then saying that our target market is only 14 billion SEK, 1-4, 7.5 billion SEK in Europe and 6.5 billion SEK? It's because we look at premium. We're only interested in really high-end premium solutions with all the bells and whistles. That's where the Thule brand will be. And there's lots of cheaper price points that we will never play at. So the true target market potential is a 14 billion SEK market with these launches. From a pure reporting point of view, I therefore also want to update to you that the way we will report going forward as of Q2 is the Active with Kids category of today, which is then bike trailers, bike seats. It's also strollers and child carrier backpacks. We will add the dog transport products and the car seats into a new bigger category called Juvenile and Pet products. That makes us comfortable also then to dial up our ambitions. So what we are doing is basing it on these trends, that there will be things going on, there will be more outdoor and urban activities, there will be more staycationing, there will be a healthy, active community that wants high-quality brands. We've decided to up the ante on our goals. So what we are doing is, when we only about a year ago, so we quickly updated that goal, we presented a year ago a goal to double our 2020 sales by 2030. Since we did 7.8 billion SEK, that would have meant that we needed to deliver 15.6 billion SEK. Now, a year later, hindsight is easy, we were not aggressive enough. We are now convinced that our 20 billion SEK goal is the right goal for 2030. We're basing that on two factors of why we're updating the goal and adding 4.4 billion SEK more in the ambition. And one is the fact that we grew so much more in 2021 than was expected. So we've already caught up with about half of that with the growth that we did in 21. Second part is that we can now be more open about the new categories we're going in and the size of those categories and what it will be for us in achieving also growth in those categories. So a new updated sales target of 20 billion SEK by 2030. We're maintaining our high EBIT margin, of maintaining an EBIT margin over 20% throughout the period, and we're also maintaining a minimum 75% of annual net income, which was updated a year ago. We are continuing with the very ambitious targets we've already set according to the Science Based Targets Initiative. So we are generally amping up on the sales volume, but the rest of the goals are remaining the same.